In progress.
Public session of the Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education. Deseamos recordarles que esta reunión se transmite simultáneamente en español. Si desea escuchar la interpretación en español de esta reunión, accede al enlace incluido en la agenda disponible en la página web del distrito. Gracias. To everyone speaking tonight, please remember that our translator is providing simultaneous translation and speak a little more slowly. Thank you. Mrs. Worley, would you conduct the roll call, please?
President Karen Bradford.
Present.
Clerk of the Board Melissa Regal.
Present.
Trustee Robert Garcia.
Present.
Trustee Joseph Navarro.
Present.
Trustee Eric Dittweiler.
Present.
Staff advisors, Dr. Trent Hansen.
Here.
Paula Ford.
Present.
Dave Dubrowski.
Present.
Rosa Santos Lee.
Present.
Daniel Brooks.
Present.
Thank you. Agenda item 1, elect board president. Trustee Regal, as clerk of the board, would you please conduct the election for president?
Thank you, President Bradford. Nominations are now in order for the office of the president of the board for a one-year term beginning with the meeting. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate you, Mrs. Regal.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll second that.
Okay. And all those in favor, say aye.
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 And no nays. Okay, we have a new board for the next school year.
Rock and roll.
Thank you. And then we'll go ahead and roll into elect of the clerk of the
Please.
board. Nominations are now in order for the office of the clerk of the board.
Can we wait just 1 second? Because we actually do have these as action items in the agenda, so you can vote electronically.
That wasn't on my memo. Sorry about that.
If you prefer to do the organizational meeting this way, we can.
Oh, we can. Do we just need to wait for it to pop up?
You need to just log in and join meeting.
Okay, hold on.
We did.
For members of the public, we're launching a new board agenda system this evening, so please bear with us.
What's separate meeting?
You should be under the organizational meeting.
Let's go there. Organization. There it is.
Is everybody
We're
logged
both
in?
in. We have
I believe everybody's logged in.
Okay, did everybody receive a pop-up to
no,
vote?
no.
I don't see a pop-up.
No,
Do you see it now?
We do.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Oh, there it is. It's only the right. And you don't get two chances. No confirmation. Oh, there's an option to change that.
The buttons are in a different order, so be sure to pay attention to the buttons that you're selecting. Did everybody vote? Yes. Susan, I believe everyone has voted.
Yes, I've got the votes recorded. I'm just waiting to see if we're going to be able to project that up onto our screen. There we go.
Oh, look at that. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, it's safe to move on to the next one, Susan? Okay, thank you. Election clerk of the board. Nominations are now in order for the office of the clerk of the board for a one-year term beginning with this meeting. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Robert Garcia.
Okay, are those, you want to pop that up so we can go ahead and vote for Robert Garcia?
Give me a second.
Thank you, Susan.
I'll second that motion.
We don't have to have a second.
Don't have a second. All right.
I don't see a name though.
Now we gotta go to the other.
I'm going to have to add that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, 5-0. If we could just take a few moments to rearrange our seats, and then we'll go ahead and resume the meeting.
Don't forget your signs.
Yeah, your sign as well.
Swapping chairs too. I just get to sit down here for another year at least.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, the next agenda item is a select day, time, and place of regular meetings. Dr. Hanson?
Yes, the board must adopt a schedule of meeting dates, times, and locations, and a recommended meeting schedule is included in the backup materials in Exhibit 9320. So we recommend this evening that the board adopt the calendar of regular meetings shown in the backup materials as Exhibit 9320.
I move to approve. Second.
Any questions? Okay, let's go ahead and call for the vote. Mrs. Worley? A 5-0 vote. Next agenda item is select a representative for annual county committee on school district organizations. Dr. Hanson?
Yes, by law, the board is required to select a representative to vote in the annual county committee on school district organization election. The annual election is usually held in conjunction with the meeting of the Riverside County School Boards Association in the fall of each year. This is the only regular responsibility of the board representative. President Karen Bradford was selected as the SDO representative for 2021, and she continues to be eligible to serve in 2022. Administration recommends this evening that the board select a representative to the county committee on the school district organization election for 2022.
I'd like to stay on that. It takes a little bit of knowledge and it's a particularly complicated time right now.
Okay,
Do we need a second? I'll second that.
thank you. Mrs. Worley, will you call for the vote, please?
So I'm sorry, we had the motion then by Trustee Bradford and a second by Trustee Garcia?
Correct.
Thank you.
It's a 5-0 vote. Congratulations, Trustee Bradford. Next agenda item, appoint liaison representatives to district advisory committees. Dr. Hanson?
Yes, in Board Policy 1221.3, it provides for the board to designate one of its members as a liaison representative to each district-wide advisory committee. Such committees may be required by the regulations or guidelines for categorical projects. The board should designate this evening a member as liaison representative to each of the following two advisory committees: our District Advisory Committee and our District English Language Learner Advisory Committee.
I'd like to nominate Robert Garcia for the District English Learner Advisory Committee.
Okay, thank you. And if possible, I'd like to continue doing the district advisory committee, unless anybody else would like to nominate themselves. No.
I will second the motion for Melissa Regal.
Okay. Do we need a second for you?
We need one for both. I'll second that motion.
Okay. Let's go ahead, call for the vote. That's a 5-0 vote. Congratulations. One more on this portion of the meeting is a certification of signatures, Mrs. Ford.
Education code requires a certification of signatures form be completed following the annual organization meeting of the Board of Education and returned to the Riverside County Office of Education. Administration recommends the certification of signatures and the backup materials be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and call for the vote. That's a 5-0 vote. That adjourns the organizational meeting. And we will, do we need to call the time? 6:15, excuse me. And then we'll right into the regular meeting. We'll call the, let's call the time here at 6:15. Let's call to order the public open session of the Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education meeting for December 13th, 2021. Mrs. Worley, would you conduct a roll call, please?
President of the Board, Melissa Regal.
Present.
Clerk of the Board, Robert Garcia.
Present.
Trustee Karen Bradford.
Present.
Trustee Joseph Navarro.
Present.
Trustee Eric Detweiler.
Present.
Staff advisors, Dr. Trenton Hansen.
Present.
Paula Ford.
Present.
Dave Dubrowski.
Present.
Rosa Santos Lee.
Present.
Daniel Brooks.
Present.
Student board members, Priscilla Perez.
Present.
Mariana Leno Cardenas.
Present.
Haley Bisbee.
Present.
Erica Gardamondo.
Present.
Thank you. Tonight's flag salute will be led by Erica Gardamondo. And if you could please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, we have a video of Patriot Cardinal Regiment performing at the SCSBOA Championship.
Please welcome our next competitor in Class 1A, under the direction of band director Christopher Case from the city of Jurupa Valley, performing their show entitled The Heist. The SCSBOA Field Championships are proud to present the Patriot Cardinal Regiment.
Just to make everybody aware, that was just a snapshot of their performance, but the full performance will be posted on social media for those who would like to watch the entire thing. So we're very proud of our students.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the inspirational comment. Trustee Navarro, would you please share tonight's inspirational comment?
Thank you, President Regal. It's going to take a minute to get used to saying that. They say that Christmas is a season of joy, of gift giving, of families united. Let this season fill your heart and let go of the things that you dislike. It's a magical time for the families of our district, and let's remember that it is bigger than just ourselves. The act of kindness is truly life-changing. Today marks the 31st anniversary of my mom passing away. Christmases were always hard for me as a child, but a quote that speaks to me as I remember her is, "Some Christmas ornaments do a lot more than glitter and glow. They represent a gift of love given a long time ago." A lot of our teachers do more than just recite and follow a lesson plan. Teachers play one of the most important roles in the lives of our children. They are their mentors who guide them through the most toughest times, help them solve their problems, and prepare them for the competitive world by bringing the best out of them. They give the gift of knowledge, imagination, and hope that continues to live in every child whose soul they touch. I want to wish everyone here a very Merry Christmas from my family to yours. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Trustee Navarro. Mr. Brooks, would you please provide reports from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Trustee, or President Regal, rather. Thank you. Yes, tonight in closed session by a unanimous vote of 5-0 with all trustees voting in favor and none opposed, the board voted to appoint Ms. Portia Austin as the coordinator of curriculum and instruction. And Ms. Austin is right here. Please stand. Also tonight in closed session by another unanimous vote of 5-0 with all trustees voting in favor and none opposed, the board voted to appoint Mr. Marshall Stevens as our new project manager here in the district. And Mr. Stevens, right here. Thank you, President Regal.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Now it's time for our student board members. Dr. Hanson.
Yes, we're excited to have these young ladies here with us tonight and listening to the reports from their various schools. So we'll start this evening with Erica and work our way down to Priscilla. So Erica, would you like to share out about Rubidoux High School?
Good evening, and thank you for having me here today and allowing me to share with you what Rubidoux has done for the past few weeks. The last time we talked, I mentioned that Rubidoux was going to have a fall festival and as well a blood drive before going into Thanksgiving break. Well, the fall festival went great. Having a fall festival during lunch with multiple games and exciting students to play them and win games and prizes might just become a new tradition for Rubidoux. Many people loved it and hope to have another one the following year. The blood drive went well too, with multiple people donating blood, and with the help of Rubidoux ASB class, everything went smoothly as planned. Today we had our holiday celebration in the quad during lunch. There were fun games and food to partake in. A little something fun before finals. This week is finals week. Everyone is studying hard and getting prepared for the last few tests before going into Christmas break. Best of luck to everyone. An update on sports. Rubidoux winter sports as of right now are all playing their preseason games. All are battling and playing hard to be prepared for future games. A few more weeks and league will start for all sports. Good luck with sports and hope all goes well. Band and choir had their holiday concerts last week, the first one since the pandemic started. They both sounded great. That is everything that Rubidoux has done, and enjoy the holidays.
Haley.
Good evening, Superintendent Hanson, Cabinet, board members, and trustees. In my previous board report for the month of November, I introduced the House of Representatives meeting set to occur in the weeks following on November 29th and December 1st. During our monthly meeting with representatives, our class presidents addressed many concerns, including lunch service as well as restroom policies, both of which were acknowledged by and discussed in the presence of administration. To conclude the month of November and begin the month of December, Patriot High School's ASB hosted both a canned food drive, by which over 200 cans were donated, as well as a holiday toy drive December 6th through the 10th. Collected during our advisory period, 89 toys were donated by PHS students and staff. On December 2nd, ASB hosted a silent night carnival during which clubs raised money for their program's future endeavors by selling snacks and organizing engaging activities. On December 8th, Clean Crew hosted Cocoa and Cram after school, during which they offered support to underclassmen preparing for finals the upcoming week. Offered a multitude of resources and snacks during their study session, students were provided a comfortable environment in which they could collaborate with fellow students, learning from as well as helping one another. On December 8th and 9th, ASB also hosted cabinet elections for the 2022 school year, leading into training for such positions in the upcoming days. As for the remainder of the semester, students will be partaking in the finals for their many courses on December 15th and 16th, supported by ASB, who will be posting learning resources and guides on our social media platforms, as well as offering encouragement through posters adorning our hallways. That concludes my student board report for the month of December. Thank you.
Thank you, Haley. Mariana?
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and community members. We have been busy at Nueva finishing up our second quarter. We have many students looking forward to graduating this Thursday. We had a blood drive on December 3rd and signed up 29 first-time donors. We received a total of 41 life-saving donations. Before Thanksgiving break, our students had the opportunity to visit Universal Technical Institute in Rancho Cucamonga. Close to 40 students toured the campus to learn more about automotive technology, diesel technology, and welding. The Career Center has also hosted multiple RCC workshops to assist students with their college applications, accessing their new student account, and completing orientation. Some of the students set to graduate this week have also been able to register for their winter or spring college courses. The ASIC Service Club meets every Wednesday during lunch and has been hired for making blankets for Project Linus, which is an organization that distributes blankets to local foster programs and shelters for domestic abuse or homeless people. The goal is to make 15 blankets, and so far 12 have been completed. The ASIC Service Club is confident to meet their goal. They are also looking forward to their next project once students are back on campus after the holiday break. Using the website www.justserve.org is where the club advisor gets ideas for projects. If anyone on the board has any suggestions, the ASIC Service Club is open to hearing them. This past Friday, Nova had our virtual model continuation visit. We received positive reviews from the committee, and they will be recommending us as a model school. Final approval will be made in the spring. Nova was very proud to have two representatives, Aiden Jackson and Juan Verdin, at the Jurupa Valley Super Smash Bros. Gaming Tournament. The teachers and staff at Nova look forward to meeting new faces on campus when quarter 3 begins in January. Sadly, this will be my last board meeting, considering that I graduate this Thursday and start college when the spring term begins. Thank you. It has been my honor to represent our amazing school, Nueva Vista. Thank you all for giving me this big opportunity, and I hope to see you all around the community. This concludes my last report on Nueva Vista.
Thank you, Mariana, and congratulations on your graduation. We're very excited for you. Priscilla, would you like to close us out tonight?
Good evening, President Regal, Dr. Hanson, trustees, and cabinet. My name is Priscilla Perez, representing Jurupa Valley High School. Our winter sports are up and running for this season. Boys soccer, non-league wins against Heritage and Patriot. Girls soccer, non-league wins against Ontario, Moreno Valley, and Canyon Springs. Boys basketball hosted our annual Jaguar kickoff and participated in the Woodcrest tournament. They also have non-league wins against Taquis. Girls basketball, non-league wins against Vista del Lago and Taquis. Girls water polo will start their league games in January. Wrestling has begun their practices. ASB hosted their traditional winter rally on November 18th, which turned out to be a great success. All ASB members dressed in holiday apparel, such as wearing holiday PJs and elf hats. Fun games were included, such as rocking around the winter chairs, which was musical chairs with a student round and a round of teachers and staff. Each winter sport introduced themselves with a simple play of their sport, such as girls soccer dribbling around a few players and scoring, followed by their team chant. ASB has also put up posters all around the inside of buildings with encouraging words for all of our students to see for this week's finals. Senior Class Council hosted a winter gram week where you could purchase a gram for your friends, and they were sent out last week for all receiving to enjoy. Avid is hosting a JAGS Finals Holiday Spirit Week, encouraging all students at JVHS to participate. FFA is currently hosting a canned food drive with many participating to give back to our community. Our faculty team is now in preparation for our JAG Expo, giving a warm welcome to our future JAGs. Also in preparation is our winter formal. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, ladies, for your reports tonight. We always appreciate hearing what's happening at our local high schools. Thank you.
We will move on to recognize Riverside Gurdwara Sikh Temple. Dr. Hanson.
Yes, the Board of Education will present a framed proclamation in recognition of the service the Riverside Gurdwara provides the Jurupa Unified School District students and community. And I'd like to give some time to Trustee Bradford to elaborate on those services and what that they provide to our community. Trustee Bradford.
Thank you so much. I'll read the proclamation from here while I have the advantage of the microphone and then make the presentation below and invite the members to join me. Proclamation. Whereas Sikhism is a religion that originated in the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent around the end of the 15th century current era and is the world's fifth largest organized religion with 25 to 30 million Sikhs as of the 21st century. And whereas the Riverside Gurdwara, known as the Sikh Temple Riverside, located in Jurupa Valley, also functions as a community center where persons of all religious backgrounds or of no religious faith are welcomed and may receive a free meal at any time. And whereas the core beliefs of Sikhism include the equality of all humankind engaging in seva, or selfless service, and striving for justice for the benefit and prosperity of all, among other values. And whereas Sikh teachings also stress the concept of sharing, or vand chako, giving to the needy for the benefit of the community. And whereas the leaders and congregants of the Riverside Gurdwara in Jurupa Valley responded to the COVID-19 pandemic crisis beginning March 13th, 2020, with exceptional dignity to all, kindness and compassion by a drive-up service of providing basic human needs through daily packaged hot meals, milk, fruit, and hard-to-find sanitizing supplies to anyone. And whereas its leaders also made generous donations to Jurupa Unified School District of lap desks, earbuds, backpacks, and other supplies for study, as more than 19,000 students immediately transitioned to virtual learning at home. Now, therefore, we, the trustees of the Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education, wish to thank and commemorate the service to our community by the Riverside Gurdwara. Please join me up front, Mr. Singh. Most grateful and thanks you and members of the
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thank you. definitely want to thank every one of you for recognizing the Sikh community and the Sikh Temple of Riverside. We are definitely very honored, humbled to be able to get this honor. But rest assured, we don't do this to get honors. It's who we are as a community, and that's our job. The Sikh community, just so that we're all aware, because a lot of times folks kind of think of us differently when they look at a turban and a beard, and they kind of associate different sort of things that happen around the world. The Sikh faith is the 5th largest faith in the world, so which really means there are more Sikhs than Jews even at that level. So this community the Sikh faith was started in about 500 years ago out of India, and the core belief is about being able to share with everybody. So 10% of our effort, 10% of our time, and 10% of our income is required for us to go ahead and spend that in meaningful and community related activities. COVID was and still is a very unusual kind of a situation for the entire country, and more so Upper Valley kind of came together. We ended up serving a few 100,000 meals. Actually, I think the count was around 350 to 400,000 meals, and about 9 million tons of food that really came through, through all of these food boxes and everything that got served. So we really feel honored that we were part of that. The other thing that I wanted to let everybody know, we've been running a food drive from day one of Sikhism. What does that mean? It means that if anybody is ever hungry, needs a hot meal, just show up at the Sikh temple. No questions asked, no strings attached. Nobody's trying to convert anybody to anything. It's all about humanity and taking care of each other. And so anybody, if you find anybody that needs a meal, we don't need to have a drive up. You can literally have them come over, and there'll always be a hot meal. And even if you're not in need and really want some good and delicious Indian food, feel free to come over. Right? So you should all be able to come over. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Just one word. Whenever you see a Sikh kid, and if that kid is being bullied because they kind of look different, remember that they're still Americans, and they're still your co-citizens, and just like anybody else. So feel free then to kind of embrace them, make them feel welcome, and you'll find the same way back also. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot. So the question that was asked was, how can anybody donate? And you can just show up at the Sikh temple or make a check in the name of Sikh Temple of Riverside and be able to donate, write a donation. But more importantly, I think it's great if people just come up and donate their time. That's more valuable because money is not the issue. It's really all of us rallying around, irrespective of our faith, beliefs, and really being able to work together, which is really the most important thing. And if the school district needs anything for the kids, please let us know. We'd be more than willing to donate in any which way. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So the temple, it's 7940 Mission Boulevard. It's right opposite the Heritage, right? Is that the park? The Heritage Park, right opposite. You see the domes on top of the building. I think most people know the address, right? Before the pandemic, most people didn't know where the Sikh temple was. So now I think it's pretty much, a lot of people know, but feel free to come in, no questions asked. Nobody's ever gonna look at anybody weirdly or oddly. It's just the way, the Sikh temple is. And anywhere in the world, if you ever need a hot meal, anywhere in the world, which means absolutely anywhere, Europe, Asia, South America, anywhere, and you feel like you want a hot meal at 2 in the morning, literally just show up. Thank you.
Cold outside.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. And in addition to the great clip that we saw of this weekend's performance, we're going to recognize Patriot High School Cardinal Regiment, Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. So you saw the video and how great they are, and now we get to say thank you to them. If Mr. Case and any student members of the Cardinal Regiment are here, please stand so we can say good things about you. All right, administration would like to
Mr.
recognize.
Dabrowski, can we have them come forward, please?
Absolutely.
Band parents, if you're present, you may stand too.
All right, administration would like to recognize Patriot High School Cardinal Regiment Marching Band, who earned a second place finish in the Southern California School Band and Orchestra Association's Division 1A Field Championship held on November 20th, 2021. Under the direction of Mr. Case and with the support of parents and staff, our students made tremendous growth this school year and are a perfect example of accelerated learning after a year of distance learning and not practicing in person. Congratulations to Mr. Case and to all the PHS Cardinal Regiment for this tremendous accomplishment.
Thank you. But I'm especially proud because I'm a former band mom. So we spent many years, and it's a lot of work, dedication on the students, the staff, and the parents. And then next, we are going to recognize Leadership Academy participants. Mr. Brook.
I'm going to move to the table, to the handheld mic there. There we go. It is my privilege tonight to present for your recognition the participants in our Leadership Academy for this year. We are tremendously proud and excited to be able to celebrate them tonight. They are a very talented and resilient group of educators and emerging leaders. Just to add a little note of what makes them particularly unique, this program was reestablished in 2019, 2020 during that school year. Actually under the leadership of Dr. Hansen, who was leading our organizational leadership and planning division at the time, and Bob Schmalak, who was our director of communications and leadership development. They started that program with the intention of taking this group through 9 modules that were going to prepare them to be administrators in the future here for our district. Unfortunately, we got through 6 of them. That was the fortunate part. That part went great. We got to March 2020, and as you know, obviously, those programs had to be suspended. However, that brings us all the way up to this school year. We see Dr. Hansen now in place as our superintendent with the intention to finish what we began with this group. And we see this as our first group of many to come. And we're really excited to be able to celebrate tonight the folks who not only participated, but were able to complete this program because they came back to us. They showed how resilient they were, and they've accomplished a lot. And we're very proud of them tonight. Most of them were able to make it. So tonight, I'm going to call each of them up one by one individually. They're going to give a speech. I'm kidding. They're not doing that. But we have a certificate that was actually printed by our print shop. They're very nice, and they were done by our print shop with some of their new equipment that they have there. So the first one, Angelina Aguilera. Congratulations. Thank you. Next, we have Connie Baltazar. Congratulations, Connie. Good work. Next, we have Elizabeth Candia. Congratulations. Good. Next up, we have Evelyn English. Congratulations, Mrs. English. Next, we have Genesis Galaviz. Congratulations, Genesis. Next, we have Elizabeth Hansen, Lisa Hansen. Congratulations. Next, we have Kimberly Lambert. Next, we have Sabrina McCaskill. Congratulations, Sabrina. Next is Latricia McCullough. Congratulations, Latricia. Next, we have Amy Noyes. Congratulations, Amy. Next is Tracy Pio. Sharing section. Next is Jody Piper. Congratulations, Jody. Next, Talene Pratt. Dr. Pratt, I don't believe was able to be here tonight, but let's clap for Dr. Pratt. Next candidate was Zebra Prophet. There she is. Good to see you. Congratulations. Next is Nancy Reyna. Nancy, good work. Thank you. Next is Daniel Richards. Congrats, Daniel. Next is Maritza Cifuentes. Congratulations. Next, we have Jacqueline Stump. Congratulations, Jackie. And last but not least, tonight we have Ms. Renee Whedon. Congratulations, Renee. Great work. Again, we are so proud of each of our participants in this program. It has been such a pleasure to help to support our emerging and future leaders here in the district. We look forward to being able to celebrate more to come. One more round of applause for our participants. Thank you, President Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Item 10, recognize Mr. Ed Luna, retired athletic director, and Mr. Ray Marisnik, former athletic director. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. I don't see Mr. Luna. Ed, are you here today? All right. Well, I know Mr. Marisnik is here, so if you can please stand on behalf of both of you.
Mr. Marisnik.
And can you come up front? All right. The Citrus Belt Area Athletic Directors Association, or CIBATA, announced that Mr. Ed Luna and Mr. Ray Marisnik have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, one of the highest possible honors for an athletic director. Mr. Luna was employed with JUSD from 1984 to 2021, serving as athletic director at Rubidoux High School from 2008 to 2019. He worked hard to create and maintain a high standard for sports at Rubidoux High School. Additionally, he served as a track and field coach at UCR and dedicated much of his life in developing student athletes throughout the Inland Empire. Mr. Marisnik has been employed with JUSD since 1988 and first displayed his athletics influence as a multi-year league championship baseball coach at Rubidoux High School. He then became athletic director at RHS in 2003 and has continued in this role since Patriot High School opened in 2008. Under Mr. Marisnick's leadership, Patriot launched the widely celebrated and awarded Champions of Character, a project led by student athletes to promote school character, sportsmanship, and service for others. In short order, Mr. Marisnick has also helped guide PHS to win several CIF titles in multiple sports, a noteworthy achievement given Patriot's short history. Congratulations to both Mr. Luna and Mr. Marisnick.
Congratulations. And we're going to, next item, board comments. I'm going to go ahead and start with Trustee Bradford.
Thank you, President Regal. I want to thank all the persons who helped me get through my year as president of the board. Since the start of COVID, I think the last 20 months have included some of the most momentous decisions that educators have been called upon to make and to live through. Thank you, teachers. We trustees have been the targets of some very critical and sometimes accusations, but we've also been supported and encouraged by the persons you see here tonight. Thank you. In addition to my peers of the Board of Education, our superintendent and cabinet, I'd like to thank Teacher Lisa Brown, Susan Worley, Josh Lewis, Wendy Eccles for helping me stay focused, teachers Dan Olguin and Lisa Cook for checking in on me, and the thank you notes sent from Mr. Olguin's class to cheer me, and the students of this district who remind me that they are the reason that we all come back every day and we keep trying, and that we all believe in creating the best possible future for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Navarro.
Thank you, President Regal. So I'm going to get used to that one. Student board members, thank you as always. I know you guys are filling out your applications for college, so I'm sure any one of us board members here would be glad to give you guys a letter of recommendation. If you ever need something for that, just think of us. So feel free to ask us. I want to congrats our new appointments. Congrats to the Leadership Academy participants. I love the fact that we're promoting within and we have the utmost faith in you guys. So congratulations for all the hard work that you've done. Thanks again to our retired and former athletic directors. It's great to have you guys here tonight. And that's pretty much it tonight. I know we have a full crowd. I'd love to hear what everyone has to say. So I'll just short my time so we can make sure everyone has a chance to speak tonight. Thank you.
Trustee Detweiler, please.
Hi, I want to thank all of you who spoke at the November 8th meeting. I took notes and I think I heard three sorts of concerns. The first was that neither masks nor vaccines are 100% effective, and vaccinated people can spread the disease without exhibiting symptoms. The second was about side effects and why we have to waive liability if the vaccine is safe. But by far the most common concern I heard in the public comments was about having one's rights as an individual autonomous person violated. My body, my choice. Again, I want to thank all of you who spoke in November and those who speak tonight. I know that I heard you. The issue is that we also have to listen to the county and state. After we have the opportunity to hear from the public again, we will hear from district council, who will give us a status update on the vaccine mandate and address the district's legal duties. I encourage everyone to listen carefully to him as well. Thank you.
Trustee Garcia.
Thank you, President Regal. And congratulations, by the way. We look forward to your leadership this year. And congratulations to Mr. Case. I know that parents and band members and Mr. Case, everybody works really hard. I know one year, Mrs. Regal here asked me to come by and she put me to work. And so it's a lot of work. So trust me. Thank you, Mr. Case, for your leadership there. And our student board members, thank you for everything you do. I wish you all a safe holiday and see you next year. And Mariana left already, but I know we're going to miss her. She's graduating. Congratulations to her. And the six. Really want to thank them for all their efforts, and they really were there. They had a parade, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and it was everybody, a big party, right? And so we really appreciate them. Leadership Academy, great work to all the participants, and congratulations on your efforts. You know, building your bench from within is so important because it helps maintain consistency in the district. And down here, let me see. It's key to stability in the district that we promote from within by building our bench. So thank you to everyone for participating. Thanks to the district for that. And congratulations to Mr. Stevens and Ms. Austin for their appointments today. And thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you. I just want to provide a few words. Thank you for nominating me to take the president's seat this year. I look forward to serving alongside with you and being part of these meetings. Also, just congratulations to, there was so much recognition tonight. I could just feel, I'm proud of all of you, and as well as the Sikh Temple. I know that during the pandemic, they were providing so much support through the community. I had volunteered a couple of times, and they would show up with several semis, and they would have their forklifts, and it was like a smooth operation, and they were just bringing down pallets, and all the volunteers are grabbing boxes and loading them to any family that drove up. I mean, they're very humble, hard workers, and they just love being involved with the community. And on that note, I also want to bring up, I mean, it's the holiday season, and, you know, this is a time to celebrate being with family and the spirit of, you know, the holidays with Christmas and such, but also the community. I'm seeing a lot of information being shared of all of the organizations within Jurupa Valley that are providing support, whether it's donation or donated items or just even some sort of gathering. But it's just quite moving to see that really Jurupa Valley has a lot of commitment. Everybody has a commitment to this community, and the organizations really, it's uplifting to provide help to those in need. So that's what I want to share. But also Mariana, she did leave already, and wanted to congratulate her that we have another graduate from Nueva Vista High School. And that's all I have right now. What we're going to do is just take a 5-minute break with the awards and recognition tonight. Just want to give everybody an opportunity to congratulate each other and just spend a few minutes chit-chatting. So we'll go ahead and start a 5-minute break, and we'll reconnect at 7:04. public verbal comments?
Sure, yeah, so let me. For different topics. So they want to speak during public. Okay. So we have a series of items tonight. We have the general public comments. We also have item number 13, which is an item that was requested by the community, placed on the agenda. Just to make it clear, when an item is placed on the agenda by the community, is that is for discussion only. The board is not obligated to take action, but simply be able to listen to those concerns specific to that item. We also have this evening trustee area mapping, and so there's others that would like to speak to that item specifically. So if you are wanting to speak generally, the general public comments portion, we have that noted. Others are noted to speak during item number 13, which is all things related to the COVID-19 mandates, and then others that are requesting to speak during the trustee area mapping. We also have additional individuals who are requesting to speak twice, but on different topics, which is allowable. So the only exception would be someone that wanted to speak to the same topic twice. So you're either speaking during the public comment session or during the item itself, but not both. Does that make sense? So we'll go ahead and get started with the public comment section.
Okay, I just want to provide a disclaimer. This communication opportunity is included on the agenda of each regular board meeting, so citizens can make suggestions, identify concerns about matters affecting the school district, or request an item be placed on future agenda. As a reminder, the governing board meetings are a business meeting of the board held in public. Although public participation is encouraged, it is not the public's meeting. The Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education encourages and invites the public to comment on items listed on the agenda or on matters within the subject jurisdiction. Public speakers have the right to their own opinions, and neither board members nor staff will be responding to these opinions or answering questions. The district's silence should not be mistaken for an agreement, but simply to avoid legal entanglements and or to protect the privacy of situations that may involve lawsuits, employee discipline, or dismissal. Please be assured any serious allegations have been or will be investigated thoroughly. Any response from the board will take place during board member comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak, and comments may be limited to a total of 20 minutes per topic. To everyone speaking tonight, please remember that our translator is providing simultaneously translations and speak a little more slowly and clearly. Thank you. And please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I live it every day. I won't take offense. The first commenter is this Sylvia? Sylvia.
I debated all weekend whether I was going to do this presentation or not. And not coming to a decision, I decided to turn to God to be guided. This presentation has to be done. It's 14 years in waiting. There's a supervisor in maintenance and operations that is getting paid up to close to $80,000 a year. And this is Javier Trevino. I have stated to several people, he shouldn't have gotten the job 14 years ago. He shouldn't have it now. He does not have the people under him's back. He has no confidentiality. Everybody knows everybody else's business, but he doesn't do the job. The supervisor we had prior, Ron Garcia, if you asked for help, you got it from him. He didn't send nobody else. I called Javier when I was at Indian Hills for help with the situation I had there, to which he responded he had no power. I asked him, why did you take this position? His response was, because it'll look good on paper for my next job. That anyone would decide to get a job based on that is insane. That he has been working for this district for 14 years is insane. I know another supervisor that got talked to because he hired someone that wasn't even a family member. But Mr. Trevino has hired people, his compadres, which means either one baptized the other one's child. So if they die, they're going to take responsibility for their kids. Why is that happening? Why is he not doing his job? The only reason I'm doing this presentation today is because I've gotten calls from subs that don't know me, but were given my number and said, please call this lady. She will help you. And I am here to help them. I won't turn my back on them. I am no longer a district employee, but I am still here to help teachers, students, parents, whomever needs the help, I will give it to them. Now, for a new sub to be sent out to a site, be given keys and said, okay, this is what you have to do, and you have to code out. They don't know what code out means. I have told several people, it is part of Javier's job to be there with the keys, showing them the site, letting them know where those code out boxes are and their number. And he's not doing it. He gets paid to, but he's not doing it. Someone is going to get hurt, and it's going to be on him. And the district is going to be lucky if they don't get sued. This is ridiculous. And then he has the audacity to get mad at these people because they don't know how to do the job. Several of them are new. They don't know nothing about this job. The district throws in a 15-minute video that shows people how not to get hurt. Common sense shows you that. They're not told nothing about the chemicals they're using, how to use these chemicals, how to wax floors, how to do carpets. They're not told anything, but they're expected to do it.
Ms. Holgeking, can you please wrap it up?
Yes, and this is not fair to any of them. To leave on a good note, I do want to bring attention to two young ladies that showed the epitome of professionalism in this district. One being Susan and the other being Jessica, Mr. Daniel Brooks' secretary. These ladies, you could call them at any time, and if you're having a bad day, just hearing their cheery voice, their professionalism, and their heart, that will make your day. This concern with Mr. Trevino is very harsh. If you have any questions, two of the board members have my number, and you could call me.
Jessica Schmidt. If we can have Cheryl Schmidt close behind, you'll be the next commenter.
Good evening. I come today to speak on a few concerns. My first concern is an unprofessional tweet made by a district personnel member. The same person was on the campus when Rubidoux teachers were removed from their classrooms because of social media posts. Yet he's tweeting that teachers who express that they are tired because of the new pandemic teaching, that they're not good enough for our students. Seems to me he doesn't care about these teachers that he's hired to support, and maybe he should return to the classroom. Number two, it needs to be addressed at the next principal meeting that handicap spaces are for those with handicap plaques, not principals because they're part of leadership. After seeing it 4 times, I will call the sheriffs next time because I do have a handicap plaque. Lastly, and I know it's not mandate time, but it's here. The right to choose as someone with a rare nerve condition, You can look at all my doctor records if you want. And I know many of the cabinet was in the cabinet when my parents had to drive back and forth to Arizona with me to see my medical team at the time during my bachelor's degree. I don't know what's best for me at this time because my doctors are telling me no, and you guys are telling me I have to. If I have to, and this cripples me, can I sue you? This is absolutely ridiculous that I have to choose my health or my career. And if it's true, the rumor I'm hearing that Jurupa is not going to support medical exemptions, then I will walk.
Good evening, trustees, executive cabinet, Dr. Hansen. I would like to read this social media post. Average educators look outward to blame COVID, society, the full moon, etc. They best look inward and focus their energy on overcoming adversity rather than talking about it. Challenges will always be part of education. How we choose to respond differentiates the average from great. A Tommy Thompson quote. One of your JUSD administrations posted this with a single comment, boom. This person's description of themselves includes passionate leader, teacher, author, learner and consultant, visual learning junkie. To this person, I say, wow. As a teacher and an 8-year JSUD board member, I can say Jurupa's teachers are great. I have seen firsthand teachers that go above and beyond on a daily basis to meet the needs of their students. We have faced a hard 2 years. Do we blame COVID and at times today's societal view of teachers? In some respect, yes. However, as dedicated educators, we are focused on meeting each day's challenges head on and do what needs done with grace and compassion. It is no longer only teaching. We are custodians, social workers, counselors, supply vendors, and so much more. You have been out of the classroom for way too, this person, I say, you have been out of the classroom for way too long. You show no compassion and have forgotten what it means to be a true leader and teacher. My suggestion is that he spend at least one day a week substituting in classrooms at all grade levels, not sitting behind his desk making assumptions for something you haven't done in a very long time. I sat on this board and made hard decisions, one of which included an incident that involved teachers making comments on their personal social media. Today, I come before you to say I am appalled at what an administrator wrote on social media. I know that members of this board are friends with this person. I hope you can put that aside and do what is right. Hold this administrator to the same standards. Thank you.
Amy Tompkins.
Good evening. I come before you this time. I have tons of people to speak on behalf of COVID right now, so I'm going to let them do their thing. But I'm coming here tonight because this has been ongoing for a couple years now, and really 3 if you include our fake year last year of school. So, but my kids attend Del Sol Academy. I have 3 of them. One's in 6th grade, and I have twins in 4th grade. And I have witnessed, and even witnessed firsthand, because I mentioned it last time, I was a substitute in this district for 1.5 years before I went back to my real career of business development. And the fact that we have nearly 1,300 students at Del Sol Academy when Sky Country is sitting over there at 390 is a joke. And the bullying is out of control. And you, sir, mentioned that teachers were an ornament, and I am very sorry that your mother passed away. That is very sad. But if your teachers are really an ornament and you don't want them to fall off the tree and break, then you need to support the school, starting with the principal and everybody else. Because the reality is, get these kids out of school when they do something bad. This in-school suspension in the front office is a joke. They sit in there just to gather information. And that's what they get. They overhear every conversation that walks in there, and then they go running back to their little comrades in class and tell them all about what's going on the entire campus. These masks that we're all wearing that really aren't doing a doggone bit of good. School provided masks, the paper ones. You may not realize this, but students are taking the metal rod out of the nose and poking kids with it. And my son was one of the ones that got poked. There are 60 students at Del Sol Academy out of control. 60. Someone has got to be brave enough to get them out of our school. And the fact that you allowed our school to be overcapacitated without the building projects completed in that area is outrageous. And if you think that these kids are not hiding behind these masks when they're doing these things to each other, these bullying, stabbing and jabbing with pencils and metal rods that the school has provided. The pencils are free. The mask rods are free. Recently, I had the principal say, how about we invite your student in with the student that's bullying him and have like a, I don't know, like powwow. And I said, you're not removing my student that's the exceptional student in school out of class to meet with any bad kid. You're not doing it. Find another way to get control of that kid. But no, my kid doesn't need the correction, and my kid does not need you to sit there and when you're not looking, him be attacked even more so on that campus.
Sonia Villaneda.
Hello, everyone. I'm so sad right now. I had spoken to one of the parents and I kind of knew what was going on and tried to get the best advice that I could. My child was bullied at Del Sol. She's now in high school right now. So I'm so sorry. Your kids are going through that. I'm sorry. But what I want to talk about is, I'll talk about the next one. But what I do want to talk about is action items 23 and 24 that you have on your consent. The first one is about adopt a second reading, revised board policy, administrative regulation for suicide prevention. I'm going to ask that you guys table that because I don't know what's in there. And I'd like the opportunity to read it because you guys have no clue on how to deal with it. My child suffers from suicidal thoughts and the school has failed her numerous times. I've reached out to you guys and you guys have failed me numerous times. The second item is adopt a second reading, the reverse policy for the immunizations. I don't know what's in there and I'm not going to allow you guys to continue to vote on the health of my child because you have failed us. I have no idea what you guys are reading. I have no idea what information you have. I've done tons of research. My child says, you're obsessed with what's going on. I said, someone has to care about you because nobody else does the way a mom does. So Mama Bear's here. We got our moms here. And I will die on the sword for my child. And that's what I'm here to do. I will fight this poor decision-making that is based on fear because in my house, I have fear of suicide. When I come home and I leave her, like today, right now, she's home alone. I pray. God saves. I pray every day, and you've heard me. Robert Garcia, you've heard the phone calls of my child having a breakdown. You know I tell no jokes here. This is the most serious matter. I wrote you guys a letter and got no response back on the drama that went on in the high school. And no response, no details, no understanding, no response, no sympathy. No, I feel for you. No parent should ever have to go through what you've gone through. Nothing. I talk to her teachers every day. I email their teachers almost every day. I go on parent portal every day. I'm doing my part. I take care of my kid. And I just need you guys to step up and help me be the better parent because I'm exhausted. I'm a single parent. I work full time at home. I have 2 kids. And all I want them to do is have the normal childhood that I recall having. Seeing my kids smile, not behind a mask. Seeing my kids just happy to hug a teacher, to hug their friends. This has just got to stop, and I need your help. I'm begging you.
Okay, we will now go on to the items submitted by the public. And as a reminder, I'm going to read the same disclaimer, but just to know that they both have the same policy. This communication opportunity is included on the agenda of each regular board meeting, so citizens can make suggestions or identify concerns about matters affecting the school district or request an item be on a future agenda. As a reminder, the governing board meetings are a business meeting of the board held in public, and although public participation is encouraged, it is not the public meeting. The Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education encourages and invites the public to comment on items listed on the agenda or the matters within its subject jurisdiction. Public meetings have a right to their own opinions, and neither the board nor staff will be responding to those opinions or answering questions. The district's silence should not be mistaken for agreement, but simply to avoid legal entanglements and or to protect the privacy of situations that may involve lawsuits, employee discipline, or dismissal. Please be assured any serious allegation have been or will be investigated thoroughly. Any response from the board will take place during board member comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak, and comments may be limited to a total of 30 minutes per topic. To everyone speaking tonight, please remember that our translator is providing simultaneously translations and will speak a little more slowly. Thank you. First speaker tonight. Dr. Hansen.
Yes, thank you, President Regal. So this item was submitted in writing to the superintendent's office requesting that this item be placed on the agenda for tonight. And based on board policy, if that item is submitted within 13 days of the board meeting, which it was, that item will be placed on the board agenda. Per our board protocols, those items are for discussion only. There's no action to be taken tonight other than to listen to the concerns and requests of the public. And so we will do that this evening. Specifically, the item that was submitted to the board and to the superintendent's office had 3 items specific to be talked about or addressed, all of it related to the COVID-19 mandates, of course. That a committee be formed consisting of parents, staff, teachers who will meet with the school board to develop a plan that meets the safety need of all parties, develop a plan of action to wean off the mask requirement, and formalize a plan of action to join the various school districts choosing to follow the law and not the mandates. So that item was requested and met the timelines and so that's the item that we will be listening to this evening. And I believe that we do have a series of speakers, and so you may begin that process.
Thank you. Jonathan Cervantes.
Before I begin, I want to remind everyone that if we want to be heard, we must carry the utmost honor and integrity after each speaker. My name is Jonathan Cervantes, and I'm a teacher at Patriot High School. I stand tonight for a people who have been deserted by their leaders and representatives. I stand for freedom and upon the Constitution of this great country. I stand for my beloved wife, who has been by my side for over 10 years. I stand for my beautiful daughter, who will be 10 months tomorrow. But above all, I stand as an ambassador for my great God and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so I will not waver in my convictions. I will not be silent, and I will not surrender. Today, our society and culture are demanding us to relinquish our freedom. And in an effort to destroy such liberty, lies, deceit, and fear have flooded our lives through the media. My soul refuses to act accordingly and submit to such tyranny. History has proven that tyrants use fear to control, hide truth, and destroy the soul of a people. Thank God our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power and of love and of a sound mind. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And there is nothing more important than freedom and truth. But the history that we are living today seeks to snuff out the light of truth. But truth is like the light of the sun, and one cannot simply extinguish the light of the sun in all its radiance. Truth contains such radiance. And because my God is light and my God is truth, I have been commissioned by my King to quell the forces of darkness and evil which are behind the current and upcoming vaccine mandates. But speaking of truth and freedom, here are a few liberating facts. COVID-19, as well as its many variants, still contain a rate that is more than 99% survivable. Statistically, one is more likely to die of a heart disease. But where is the push for checking our sugar, salt, and fat intake? Further, one is more likely to die in an accident. But where is the push for checking that we are not prone to unintentional injuries? Additionally, one is more likely to die of diabetes. But where is the push for checking that we all have a proper diet of healthy foods? Tragically, one is more likely to die by suicide. And one would think that our district's push for mental health would not include masking students, segregating families, and exterminating employees. I know I speak for the sea of yellow behind me when I say that we will not quit, we will not falter until these vaccine mandates are put to an end. And so are you willing to segregate countless students and families? Are you willing to discriminate against such a wave of teachers and staff? Are you willing to support such evil? Or are you willing to stand with us in freedom? If so, are you willing to make a motion of action tonight to send Gavin Newsom a letter signed by the board expressing how you will not support such immoral mandates and will not enforce them on your district? Are you willing? Because we are willing to lose everything for that fight. To the beacons of hope behind me, the Apostle Paul said it best when he wrote, "We are hard-pressed on every side, yet not crushed, perplexed, but not distressed, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed." And to the elected representatives of this district, I pray, Heavenly Father, may you reach the hearts of each and every board member here tonight. May truth be undeniable and freedom defended. May they each recognize the evil that has plagued our cities, schools, and policies. May they choose you above all things and in turn choose to stand with these golden freedom fighters holding the line. Father, we pray for your wisdom, guidance, and strength. We pray for your courage. We pray that you fight this battle for us, for victory is only made possible through you. For if God is for us, who could be against us? May you, Lord, light and lead the way, and may we, united as one, stand firm, immovable, and victorious. In Jesus' precious and holy name, amen.
Amen. Amy Foss.
Hello, I'm Amy Foss. I was a public school teacher for 17 years, and when we moved here, I was hoping to be part of JUSD, but my son was not supported in JUSD, and his emotional needs were not met. In fact, may I take this down? Is this okay? In fact, he did not, let's see, the emotional needs, he did not qualify for counseling because we didn't have Medi-Cal, and we made too much money. And his educational needs were not met because he was not failing bad enough. So I pulled him out, and I was a public school teacher, so I am able to homeschool him, but not everybody is able to do that. Well, since then, the pandemic has come, and what I wanted to say is maybe someday I will come back to JUSD, and hopefully I will help with those two issues. But I'm still fighting for the kids in my neighborhood. We are zoned for Del Sol Academy. I'm very close to a lot of my neighbors and their kids, and I love them, and I don't want them to have to take the vaccine. Remember when you had to be sick to be considered sick? However, as a public school teacher, I remember very sick, snotty kids coughing and sneezing on me.
and I would send them to the nurse's office, but they were not sick enough to go home. Their temperatures were not high enough to go home because the school needed the money for them to sit in that seat. Now, the schools need the money if they follow the mandates. Please, when you make a decision on these vaccines, do not vote by the money, but vote with your heart.
Barbara Tyler.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm going to be speaking on behalf of our students who may be too afraid to voice their opinions because their opinions go against the majority. Students should not have to make the choice between in-person and distance learning because of their vaccination status. In the mind of a child, what you are saying to them is, you didn't receive the COVID-19 vaccination, then get out. Go to your room, shut the door, hide behind an avatar in your Chromebook like you did last year, and learn in an environment that is not the best for you. And by the way, you can no longer play sports. Be a cheerleader, be in choir, play an instrument, be involved in ASB or any other club because you, our JUS student, you value your freedom and have chosen to not be vaccinated. This should hardly be the message we are sending to our students if we truly cared about their emotional and mental well-being. You say follow the science. California's Department of Public Health records as of December 8th, 2021, children aged 5 to 17 make up 12.5% of the COVID-19 cases, yet 0.0% have resulted in death. Well, this pretty much sums up what science, not our governor, is saying. Children without underlying medical conditions are at no risk of dying. And by following the tyranny of Governor Newsom, you are as complicit as he is. By forcing our students to get a vaccination that we still know very little about, or to forego their right to attend school. I also would like to present information that I got off of the California Department of Health for each of you, just so you can see that I have done my due diligence research, and I would like you to be able to witness it with your own eyes.
Joan Bain. Joan Bain.
I've been deeply committed to JUSD for most of my adult life. First as a parent, then later as a grandparent. First as a library clerk, then for 30 years as a teacher, and most recently as a substitute. I have serious concerns about the vaccine mandate for staff and for students. I know that we are very close to losing many of our most committed teachers, our most committed support staff. I know of teachers that spend hours and hours and hours every week making sure that the lessons they have for their kids are creative, hands-on, engaging lessons that support our standards. I know of students whose parents have been committed since kindergarten, making sure that those kids are always ready for school. They come prepared, their homework is done, they're clean, they're on time, they're here every day, but those parents are not willing to put the welfare of their child at risk for the opportunity to follow the rules and attend school. My concern is that if we follow through and if we continue to let parents know that students will lose their position, that staff will lose their jobs, that our district will suffer a loss that we will never recover from. We will hire new teachers. We will hire new staff. We'll get other students, but we will never have these students, this staff, these teachers again.
Shauna Cornejo.
According to the CDC, the death rate for children under 19 from COVID-19 is statistically 0%. Zero. Therefore, children are not warranted to be vaccinated. Also, according to the CDC, not one healthy child, not one, has died of COVID-19 in the US. All the children who have died of COVID as of June of 2021 had underlying comorbidities. Therefore, healthy children should not be vaccinated. According to the CDC, the COVID vaccines do not prevent infection nor transmission of COVID-19. Therefore, the COVID-19 vaccinations are not effective. According to the CDC, vaccinated people are not less infectious than unvaccinated people. Vaccinated people acquire and transmit COVID-19 just as easily and as often as unvaccinated people. Therefore, the vaccines are not effective. Go get your next booster. According to CDC and FDA, COVID vaccines pose risks of myocarditis, blood clotting, neurological damage, and death, to name a few, predominantly in adolescents. I've got one with me tonight. Therefore, the vaccines are not safe. According to VAERS, which is the Vaccine Adverse Effects Reporting System that was established and used by the government and referred to by the government, there have been at least 19,532 deaths from the COVID vaccines in the United States alone. Therefore, the vaccines are not safe. According to the WHO, there have been at least WHO 2,457,000 plus adverse events related to the COVID vaccine worldwide. And that is more than 1 million more cases than all the adverse events reported over the last 53 years for all vaccines since 1968. According to the American Heart Association, the mRNA vaccines dramatically increase inflammation of the heart. Therefore, the vaccines are not safe. According to historical medical data, 50% of people who get myocarditis will die of a heart attack or require a heart transplant within 5 years, especially children. The vaccines are not safe. Clearly, I'm not just appealing to my individual liberties, nor my right to bodily autonomy, nor simply just my opinions, but those things should be adequate. What I am doing is imploring you to look at this data. It's all readily available on government websites. I'm imploring you to follow the data, the science, and you need to do what is right for your teachers and our students.
Paul Swan Van Lent, please.
Hello, fellow Jurupa Unified School District family and community members. I speak tonight to voice my support for and ask your support for two of my friends, Barbara Tyre and Jonathan Cervantes, and a significant number of other Jurupa Unified family members who share their desire to maintain their integrity and not violate deeply held personal beliefs and principles about exercising their right and freedom to not put something into their bodies. I also strongly appreciate the steps our district has taken to make both vaccines and testing so convenient and accessible. I was grateful to get my booster shot in my school's library after work. My understanding is that the testing option has worked well as an alternative to vaccination, and I beseech our superintendent and Board of Education members to continue to provide this safe and reasonable option for the sake of our students. Because if it comes to a vaccine mandate, if Jurupa Unified staff are required to get vaccinated or lose their jobs here, our students and we will suffer loss. The loss of teachers and staff they and we love and depend on. I got to watch my student teacher, Jonathan Cervantes, work in unbelievably positive and caring ways with our students, who shared his excellence with administrators, who then hired him for the following year before I could write a letter of recommendation for him. That was going to be a challenge. Years of working with my friend Barbara Tyre have shown me the deep and amazing level of care and education she shares with her students, many of whom are the most in need of it. Both serve students in so many capacities. I pray that we do not choose to lose these two and many other priceless members of our Jurupa family because we choose to not provide a safe and sane alternative to vaccination to keep them employed here with their integrity intact, regardless of any law to the contrary. I pray that instead we stand and rise to our full height and say, we put our family first and stay true to our mission to provide Jurupa students learning without limits.
Claudia Garcia.
Good evening, board members and people here. My name is Claudia Garcia and I teach at Trustee Elementary School. I want to shed light on how the vaccine mandate will have a negative effect at our site. Currently, we have about 90% of our unvaccinated teachers holding leadership positions such as school site council, student study team, leadership for grade levels, emergency command post for major disasters. We have them also part of the GATE program, which 2 years ago helped recognize the district for a 5-star school. We also have those same unvaccinated teachers who, when they heard the call about the schools opening up and giving the children an enrichment during the summer, were one of the first to sign up for it. Getting the students involved with activities that they had not done because of COVID, being able to readers theater, do robotics. I even had some of the students sew in the class, and just to see the children light up, how excited they were for that. And then to think that this mandate would terminate the jobs of some of the teachers, if that's what you're considering. We also have the 100-mile club teachers that also are unvaccinated and support that 100%. And some of us that have the inclusion students that we support and have been, how should I say, just targeted by the administrator to say, okay, these children will go with this teacher, which I fully support. And I love having those students in my class. I just ask that you would reconsider the vaccine mandate for the district and send a message to the governor, like our surrounding districts, letting them know that you stand for the students and the teachers. I want to thank you and wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Sonia Villaneda.
All right, take two. So I let everybody know that I am the author of this petition to you guys today. So let's figure this out. So what I wanted to do is just kind of make sure that the decisions that you guys decide to move forward with are based off of what the people who voted for you in your positions want, not based off your own values, off your own opinions. This is what we are saying to you. So before you make any decisions, I strongly suggest we have some way to communicate, because I have spoken to a few of you personally, but no one else here behind me has, that I'm aware of. And we don't know how you feel. And I think we're entitled to know that before you vote on anything. And then on top of that is the mask mandates. I firmly believe they don't work. We've talked about this numerous times before, that the kids don't wear it, that they're dropping on the floor, they're putting them in their pockets, they're reusing them, and it's just not safe. It's just not clean. So we can talk about, let's get off the mask mandates. And then the last thing was to figure out a way to beat Gavin Newsom on this nonsense. I still have a minute and so some time. So I wanted to talk about today. It was really, really interesting. So I was watching some news feed and it popped up that we hit 800,000 deaths. So I do my research again, but I have all these numbers here. Prior to the vaccine, there were 385,343 deaths. Post-vaccine is higher than that, 386,233, and we still have a month to go, just so you know. That's should be telling to you straight out that these vaccines aren't doing a damn thing. Because if the vaccines were working, logically, we teach our kids math. If there's any math teachers here, the trajectory should have leveled off, and it didn't. It kept escalating and going up. That means it does not work. This is what we call common sense thinking. We teach our kids to do this. I'm sure you guys can figure this out, and you can nod your heads because that makes sense. They do not work. Also, you need to start doing a little more research. We'll talk about that it's airborne. The vaccine is airborne. So all this cleaning here, I hate to tell you, it's kind of wasting your time. The last thing I want to get to is what we call precedent. You have allowed our kids to come to school with the mask. You have allowed them to be in class. You have set a precedent. So the moment you try to change the rules here, you've opened up yourself for that lawsuit. Our children are entitled to an education. God knows they suck the taxes out of us, and you set precedent. So good luck with that one. I think that's pretty much most of it. But I look forward to getting a phone call or email from you guys on when this meeting is going to be held so we can get a committee group started. Thank you.
Lisa McCabe.
Good evening. I request that you, the elected JUSD Board of Trustees, protect our children's God-given constitutional freedoms by refusing to comply with the governor's C-19 mandates. Children are not the super spreaders the media makes them out to be. JUSD has no deaths, and as of yesterday's rolling 2-week dashboard, there are 9 infections district-wide out of 19,086 students, a whopping 0.047 infection rate. And yet, JUSD is restricting all students by masking and getting ready to require vaccines. Personally, my child went to school last year in person and competed in a sports program that required travel and close proximity while playing without a mask for extended periods of time. They masked during classes, but I was told this was not always consistent, similar to reports here in JUSD. In one instance, my child was exposed to 5 other C-19 positive children for several hours, unmasked, and though tested several times, remained healthy. Recall that healthy kids under 18 have less than 1% infection rate in the general population. On another occasion, my child was exposed when the entire adult household contracted C-19. My child stayed home unmasked for 10 days to quarantine. After being tested and retested, my child was still negative for C-19. This is what a young, robust immune system is capable of. Most children are the same. C19 vaccines are not needed for young people. Experts call for vaccines only in the elderly or high-risk populations, rather opting for isolation and early treatment for others when infected. The C19 vaccines have unknown long-term effects. Their development is dubious using fetal cell lines. The short-term efficacy wanes within months to less than 30% as compared to natural immunity, which remains high and lasts a lifetime. And what's more, now many shocking adverse outcomes, including those in young individuals with respect to heart attacks, myo and pericarditis. Look up the worldwide phenomenon of vaccinated athletes with sudden death syndrome, heart attacks, and career-ending myocarditis. Myocarditis is a type of inflammation of the heart muscle. Many sufferers last about 5 years because they are at risk of life-threatening sudden death syndrome. This precludes athletes from participation in their sport, for which most, ironically, got the C19 vaccine in the first place. There is no need to put any child at risk of these issues. I advocate choice for parents and children. I am a conscientious objector for my child, an advocate for anyone's freedom to keep their natural immune system intact and decline unnecessary injections that could harm the beautiful children God has given us. I ask our Board of Trustees to support freedom of choice and stand against the COVID-19 mandates. Thank you.
Sabrina Sandoval.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So I am a mother of 3 attending JUSD, and I am also a practicing school psychologist in another district. And I believe in freedom of choice and that nobody should be mandated to do something they don't want. And I'm asking the audience if there's anything that you agree to, if you please stand to show support. I'm here to talk about correspondence that I have received from board members, as well as just kind of inconsistencies and things that just don't make sense, and seeing my child's experience, all of my children. So I did send out an email regarding the San Diego case that was dismissed under the ruling of the CDPH guidelines. They dismissed the case because they said that that's what it was. In fact, they were just guidelines, and their districts didn't have to enforce it. Another thing that I wanted to bring to light in the responses of from that email from some of the board members was that they mentioned that they look at these matters seriously and with objectivity. So the only objective stance someone could take to appease both sides is to not force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And then at the last board meeting, I did speak, and it infuriated me to see after the kids were gone, everyone took off their masks. And I do, and then I don't understand why. But it infuriates me because we have teachers that are teaching with masks on. We have students that are being forced to wear masks, and it's causing a lot of anxiety. It's causing headaches. It's causing lack of focus. It's causing frustration. It's causing bacteria growth. It's causing sores behind ears, elongated ears. I can go on and on. That just doesn't make sense. Not to mention the educational impact, the impact on speech for the little ones, the preschool kinders, basic reading skills. I can go on and on. I'm seeing it in my district in getting initial evaluations. So that's kind of all I have to say about that. But as a constituent in your district, I'm demanding the following: to uphold your oath. Your oath states, I do solemnly swear that I would support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will be true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. So someone was holding up a poster on 12/8. Senate passed a joint resolution to nullify President Biden's mandates, 52-48, that one. And then the federal appeals court ruled the mandates unconstitutional. So OSHA, federal contractors, healthcare workers are no longer mandated to be vaccinated or test. So it's been shown unconstitutional in more than 11 states. So why are you and the district still entertaining this? I don't know. Things are changing as parents are becoming more and more aware. What we know today is not what we knew a year ago. It's your all of your responsibility to understand and not only the evolving public safety guidelines, but also the interpretations of the law. I also demand that we have a public discussion on this matter. And I have provided, I do want to say this. They say trust the science, but science keeps changing with political environment. And you can unsee it. It's plain as day. There's so many inconsistencies that are going on in our government. But with that being said, I have this meme that I gave you guys all a copy. To me, it just kind of represents the stuff that doesn't make sense. It says they should replace the kids' desk at school with restaurant tables. That way, when they sit down, they can take off their mask. I'm going to leave you with these packets of information. It has facts from the CDC that someone already spoke about. It also has a list of districts who oppose the mandates and a resolution from Etowanda and Chino Valley regarding the mandates. Thank you for your time.
Sylvia Hoagie.
Everybody that knows me knows I have for years done presentations for teachers and for their rights and for their worth. I myself took the vaccine because I have underlying issues, but that was my right. And I was given that right. Other people have the right to say no. That is their choice and that is their right. And they're being told now, no, it isn't. You're going to do as we say or you won't have a job. And that's unconstitutional. These are hardworking people that are teaching our kids, that are giving our kids a future. And they should be heard and they should be listened to and they should be respected. And by going to work to what's perceived as a hostile working environment because of these mandates is wrong. You need to look within yourself, not at the law, but look within yourself and do what was right. And then think, what if this was my mom? What if this was my wife, my daughter that was being treated this way? Would you have respect for the people that are treating them like that? I don't think so. Plus, the situation at Del Sol. I've gotten many calls from people in that area. 1,300 kids is ridiculous. Ridiculous that you have that many kids there. This is an elementary middle school. You should have never done it in the beginning, but you did. A lot of questions parents are asking me is, why is it that Eastvale is clearly where the mall is at and beyond, and Swan Lake is beyond? So why are Swan Lake kids being allowed to come to the Jurupa Unified School District? That makes no sense whatsoever. I have been told that the principal there has no disciplinary certification. He does nothing. He wants to put it under the carpet, and that's not new. It's still happening today. And I know, and I've told you, a lot of you think the district is changing, but if you look really hard and really deep, no, it isn't. People still feel they're working under hostile working environments. People still feel they're being bullied and harassed and told what they can and cannot do, even though they have the education for it. So why is this not holding to administrators just the same? If this principal does not want to do his job, It is your job to do something about it. Because when kids are being threatened or cut or bullied or harassed, that's unacceptable. I have told you many times before, it's a good thing this didn't happen to my kids, because I would be on them like flies on you know what. And it should not happen to anybody's children. These are gifts from God. Why are you acting like they don't matter? You have to look at your own children
Ms. Holding, I need you to wrap it up, please.
and think, is this the way I want them to be treated?
Steve Watson.
Good evening. I'm here as a parent and as a husband of a teacher. And I know a lot of people here have expressed that they know masks don't work. And I'm not here to talk about what masks do or don't do, except for I do know what they do. They cause harm. And all we have to do is look back in history to the 1917 Spanish flu pandemic. More people died from bacterial pneumonia from wearing masks than they did the disease. And there's a famous doctor who wrote a report on that very subject, Dr. Fauci. They all know that masks don't work and they cause harm. But yet here we are making our kids wear masks. You can't come to school if you don't have a mask. You can't teach if you don't wear a mask. You can't go to the store. You can't go to the concert. Whatever it is, masks don't work. They do harm. As far as the vaccine mandates, I just read this morning the new VARS report, a little higher than what these posters are showing. 19,886 people have died. 19,886. That's almost 20,000 people. Why are we still even talking about vaccine mandates? If you go to the grocery store and there's a head of lettuce that has salmonella, there's a recall. They pull all the lettuce from the stores. But yet 19,886, almost 20,000 people die from taking an experimental vaccine that we don't want to take. And the answer is you can't go to work unless you have a vaccine. This is ridiculous. When are we going to wake up? And when you keep inserting or hear if inserted in front of a bunch of different things, you don't have freedom. You can't come to work if you don't get the vaccine. You can't go to school if you don't wear a mask. That's not freedom. And if we keep giving in to all these ifs, pretty soon, it's not going to be the America that I know and love. And I, for one, am not putting up with it anymore. I am done. Thank you.
Are there any other comments at this time?
There are no additional comments.
Thank you, President Regal. We also have here tonight regarding this item, Chris Keeler, who is our legal counsel, who will provide a status update on the vaccine mandate and address the district's legal duties based on this item of information tonight.
All right. Well, thank you for having me this evening. And I apologize in advance if I run a little bit long on this, but there is a bit of information that I was asked to share. On October 1st of this year, Governor Gavin Newsom announced that he had directed the California Department of Public Health to follow the procedures established by the legislature to add the COVID-19 vaccine to other vaccinations required for in-person school attendance. According to the governor's plan, upon full FDA approval of age groups within a grade span, CDPH will consider the recommendations of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American Academy of Family Physicians prior to implementing a student vaccine mandate. Full approval for vaccination of students age 12 and older corresponds with grades 7 through 12, and full approval of ages 5 through 11 corresponds with grades K through 6. Students who are under the age of full approval from the FDA, but within the grade span, will be subject to the vaccine mandate once they reach the age of full approval, with a reasonable period of time to receive both doses, consistent with existing procedures for other vaccines. The new vaccine mandate is expected to take effect at the start of the term following full approval of a grade span, to be defined as January 1st or July 1st, whichever comes first. Based on current information, the requirement is expected to apply to grades 7 through 12 starting on July 1st, 2022. This mandate fits within the existing statutory scheme. Specifically, the Health and Safety Code requires that students be vaccinated against 10 diseases before being admitted to any school. This does not include COVID, but does include vaccinations such as against diphtheria, hepatitis B, measles, mumps, whooping cough, and chickenpox. Previously, these 10 vaccinations were all subject to both medical and personal belief exemptions. However, in 2016, legislation eliminated the personal belief exemption for all 10 vaccines required under HSC 120335. Currently, these 10 mandated vaccines are only subject to a medical exemption. HSC 120335 and 120338 allow the California Department of Public Health, and I'll call that CDPH, to mandate any other immunizations it, quote, deems appropriate as a condition to admission to any school, but only if exemptions are allowed for both medical reasons and personal beliefs. Therefore, under Governor Newsom's directive, if the COVID vaccine is mandated by CDPH, it would be subject to both the medical and the personal belief exemption. This means that parents could opt their children out of the COVID vaccine based on personal beliefs. That might be my only applause line of the night, but I will say I do appreciate it. I've been booed before, but okay. The district does not test the validity of a personal belief exemption. If a personal belief exemption is available and a parent requests it, then it is granted, period. There are reports. Thank you. There are reports of several school districts passing resolutions or otherwise committing to not implement a student COVID vaccine mandate. That was not a Freudian slip. I said student. To those who would ask this board to follow suit, I say first, given that there is no student COVID vaccine mandate in place, such action is premature. Simply, there is no COVID vaccine mandate in place for students. Also, if CDPH does issue a student vaccine mandate, school districts that fail or refuse to implement it will incur significant legal risk. California law provides that every school district shall be under the control of a board of school trustees or a board of education. The school board's power extends to, quote, initiating and carrying on any program or activity or otherwise acting in any manner which is not in conflict with or inconsistent with law or the purposes for which school districts are established. Therefore, although the board's power is broad, it is limited to action that is consistent with law. Article 20, Section 3 of the California Constitution requires public officers and employees to take and subscribe an oath or affirmation, and you heard that quoted previously. You must support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. Bearing true faith and allegiance to the California Constitution includes complying with its mandates. Article 1, Section 28F1 includes what is commonly referred to as the Safe Schools Guarantee. It states, all students and staff of public primary, elementary, junior high, and senior high schools have the inalienable right to attend campuses which are safe, secure, and peaceful. Finally, the courts have found that school districts, embodied by their governing boards and their employees, quote, have a special relationship with the district's pupils arising from the mandatory character of school attendance and the comprehensive control over students exercised by school personnel, analogous in many ways to the relationship between parents and their children. Because of this special relationship, school personnel have a duty to use reasonable measures to protect students from foreseeable injury. And that has been relied on by many courts to find liability for school districts when injuries arise in the course of student attendance at school. Governor Newsom's Executive Order N-721, issued June 11th, 2021, rescinded or modified numerous COVID restrictions. However, it reiterated that orders of CDPH carry the force of law. It stated, whereas the California Department of Public Health and state health officer are empowered to issue mandatory public health directives to protect the public health in response to a contagious disease under existing state law, including but not necessarily limited to Health and Safety Code sections 120, 125, and 7 other statutes that give them that power. I note also that executive orders have the force of law under Government Code section 8567. On August 23rd, 2021, CDPH issued an advisory to school leaders warning about potential liability that would arise from defying the indoor mask mandate. You heard a reference previously to litigation about mandates. What the court said in that case was the mask mandate is a mandate. Okay, the other potential mandate we're talking about right now is a potential vaccine mandate. So CDPH warned that schools and school leaders involved in a decision to defy the mask mandate could face significant financial liability if a student or staff member contracts COVID-19 in the absence of universal masking being enforced. The financial exposure would be substantial if a student or staff member were to die from COVID-19. Next, CDPH warned that schools and school officials involved in a decision not to follow the mandatory public health guidance may face civil lawsuits by concerned families and staff compelling them to comply with the guidance. Third, certificated individuals, so that would be administrators, teachers, people who hold certificates from the CTC, may be subject to referral to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing for disciplinary action for violating a mandatory legal duty to implement the masking requirement and knowingly exposing persons to preventable harm. Fourth, schools and school officials may be subject to fines or civil enforcement actions by local health officers for refusal to adhere to the mandatory masking directive under the Health and Safety Code 120-175. In fact, Ed Code 49403 states clearly the governing board of a school district shall cooperate with the local health officer in measures necessary for the prevention and control of communicable diseases. Again, and additionally, Cal OSHA has issued mandates and temporary regulations related to workplace safety that also govern the school district. Everything that CDPH has said about defying the mask mandate would apply equally to defiance of a student vaccine mandate if one were put in place. A lot can happen between now and full FDA approval of the COVID vaccine for children and youth, or between now and implementation of a CDPH COVID vaccine mandate. We will have more information in the coming weeks and months. The bottom line is that a mask mandate is in force, but a student COVID vaccine mandate is not yet in force. If a student vaccine mandate is implemented according to the governor's plan described in October 2021, parents will have the right to opt out of the vaccine based on a medical exemption or a personal belief exemption. It is premature to take any action related to a student vaccine mandate, again, because there is no student vaccine mandate in force. But I also note that if CDPH does issue a student vaccine mandate, school districts that fail or refuse to implement it will incur significant legal risk. I hope this information is helpful. Dr. Hansen has told me that administration will keep the board updated as this issue develops. And if any action is necessary, he will work with the board president to put it on a future board agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keeler. That is it for this item, President Regal.
Thank you. I think let's take a 5-minute break just to kind of walk around, take a few steps, and maybe if anybody needs to use the restroom. So we will resume back at 8:28. and written communications. Dr. Hanson.
Not a lot to share tonight other than just before our closed session, we received word that California will be implementing the mask mandate indoors again beginning on Wednesday, day after tomorrow through January 15th. And that mandate will be in place regardless of vaccination status. So I just wanted to update the board on that news and notification we just received.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the public hearing session. Public hearing to receive public testimony concerning proposed trustee voting area plans associated with the district's transition to by trustee area election system. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. So once again tonight, we have the governing board will convene a public hearing to receive public testimony concerning proposed trustee voting area plans that are associated with the district's transition to a by trustee area election system. Mr. Jonathan Salt and Mr. Christopher Melendez are here again this evening to present the draft map options.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, district staff, and district community. I'm Jonathan Salt. I'm joined by Chris Melendez. And tonight is our final public hearing. I know you've seen me many, many times and heard me say the same thing over and over again. This is the last time. So after this public hearing, later on the agenda, there'll be a resolution for the board to adopt one of the available map options. There are now 4, 1, 2, 3, and 3B based on feedback from last hearing. For those of you who have not participated before and want to, I'm going to repeat some information just so you have an idea of what's going on. So first, why is this happening? This is all related to the California Voting Rights Act, or CVRA, which took effect about 18 years ago. And it says that if you have an at-large election system, and currently the district does have an at-large system, even though you're elected from trustee areas, if the at-large system impairs the ability of members of protected classes from influencing the outcome of an election or electing candidates of choice, then that at-large system might violate the CVRA. There's also no intent requirement. So unlike the Federal Voting Rights Act, in California, the district need not intend to discriminate by having the system in order to be found liable under the CVRA. And so attorneys around the state have been filing actions against school districts, cities, counties, water districts, et cetera. And if they prevail, they're entitled to reasonable attorney's fees and expert fees. But if a school district or a city were to successfully defend at-large elections, not afforded that same right to fees. The only safe harbor from a CVRA claim is to transition to a by trustee area election system, which means that the district will be divided into 5 roughly equal population areas, and 1 board member will be elected from each area only by the voters who live in that same area. So that's different from now. And so that's what makes the system safe from the CVRA, is that it's essentially 5 little districts. This is just a map of the current, we'll call it a hybrid system the district has, where there's 1 board member per area, but then at large, you're all voted on, or candidates are voted on. So this has been used, I think, as a basis for a lot of the map options that have been presented throughout this transition. So right now I'm going to hand it off to Chris to talk about the requirements and considerations when drawing the maps, and to present each map option.
All right, thank you, John. So what we did is we took the data that was released from the latest decennial census from 2020, and we used that as our data to assess whether there's equal population in each one of these current trustee areas. And that's one of the mandates from the Ed Code as well. And there is a certain amount of deviation that is allowed. That means it's not always possible to have exactly equal population in each one of these trustee areas, but there's allowable deviation of 10%. So additional criteria that we have to consider as part of the state constitution is that we must comply with the U.S. Constitution, achieve equal population as nearly as practicable. We need to follow and comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. Voting districts shall be geographically contiguous, meaning that they have to be one piece. They can't be broken up into smaller pieces. local communities of interest must be taken into consideration. Geographical compactness means that they have to be regularly shaped as possible. No long arms sticking out driving certain communities or populations. And it cannot favor or discriminate against any of the incumbent political candidates or political party. So the population changed from the 2010 census to the current census. You guys gained just shy of 9,000 people. It went from 96,000 up to 105,640. This is just a map that shows the distribution of the Hispanic citizen voting age population. Those areas that are in dark hues of red signify higher densities, and those that are closer to a cream color, that means it's a little to no concentration. This is the first scenario, map 1, that was offered. This was modeled to follow, in addition to the equal population, to try to incorporate the existing elementary attendance areas. Okay, and this one has a maximum variance of 5.4. Here's the citizen 18 and over population estimates. The Hispanic Latino is the highest concentration in each one of these districts. The trustee areas. Scenario 2, this one has a max variance of 6.2. This one tried to balance the total number of schools in each one of the trustee areas. And here we go. And you can see the detailed breakdown on how the protected classes, what the composition of each class is for each trustee district. Okay, scenario 3, this one was max variance of 5. This one was try to incorporate the original communities in the Jurupa Valley. Not every single one was able to be incorporated into each trustee area entirely. Some of them were split, but most of them did manage to get fit quite nicely.
And at the last board meeting, there was a suggestion when looking at map 3 that since trustee area 3 only had the physical location of 3 school sites, that was it possible to potentially add an additional school site to it. And so map 3B was created, and Chris will explain a little bit about that.
So because we have to take into consideration the population, there's only so much that we can incorporate it from other trustee areas without throwing off that balance. But as a result, here's the CVAP data for that. And as a result, the calculations did allow us to extend that boundary between trustee area 3 and 1 to incorporate Mission Bell into trustee area 3. And we were able to do that with a maximum variance increase to 8.1. Any further east or any other direction, that was challenging. The population would just be thrown off too far out, and the plan would be non-compliant this time.
And I think actually, if we stay on this slide for a second, above Granite Hill, all of that is one huge trustee area, one huge census block, right? So really north of Granite Hill can't be split up in any way that makes sense.
Right. The census blocks in this area are challenging to work with because of their size, and there's a small subdivision. You can see that right next to the west of Granite Hills Elementary. There's a couple neighborhoods in there, and then there's a big census block that sort of wraps around all those communities, and there's quite a bit of people in there. And if I was to just pick that one, it would just throw everything off, and even the other communities there. It wouldn't really make sense because it will start making the boundaries look a little weird and throw off the numbers as well.
The only other noticeable difference besides that little kind of hook that added that school site is that in area 3, the citizen voting age population for the Hispanic Latino protected class went up from 48% to 49.6% just by adding that little extra group. And just grouping by that school. So just wanted to share that. But final thoughts again, people are looking at these maps and they're concerned, where is my child going to go to school? These maps do not change the district's boundaries. They do not change attendance boundaries. It does not impact where anybody's child will go to school. This only changes really who can run for board, when, and how he or she is elected when they do run for board. It's still one district with common goals and challenges. The board still represents the entire district as you do now. And so just wanted to make that clear that this doesn't really have, I know there's schools on the map, but that's just to sort of show where the schools are. So this is it. We're at the end here. This is the final public hearing. Last chance for the community to tell the board which map they like best before the board picks later this evening. And the information's been on the website for quite some time. There's also been an interactive web map where you could zoom in and really see where the boundary lines are. And so with that, we will stand by to hear if there's any comments or questions. And thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we do have one public comment.
Yes, we do. Dr. Long?
Thank you to the board for allowing me to speak on this topic, and to the cabinet and the superintendent. I have spent weeks looking at these maps, and I finally made a decision for myself. First I want to say, of course, I don't have any question with the census data. And so I'll just talk about the maps. My first choice was the scenario 2 map. I like that map because I think it's well defined. I think it's good for parents to be able to clearly see where they fall within the map. And I think it's good for candidates who want to run for office. I like scenario, excuse me, I'm so cold. I like scenario 3 as my second choice for pretty much the same reasons. The map that I really don't like at all is scenario 1. And I didn't like that map because it has this oblong, this one, sections in, let's see, Trustee area 5 and 4. And I think I just didn't like the way they were shaped and how they go out like that. The other comment I wanted to make is that about all 3 of these maps is that they don't show the streets like this one does that you're calling the hybrid map. I really like this one only because I don't like so much like the map, but I like that I can see the streets on the map. And I think that makes it easier for the community to know exactly where they fall. Anyway, I thank you for letting me speak my piece on this.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board?
President Regal.
Trustee Garcia?
Thank you. Thank you for those comments, Dr. Long. I have a couple questions for maybe Jonathan or Chris, or maybe both, and maybe just one question. Can I take a pass for now? I got to think about it again. Sorry.
No problem. Trustee Navarro?
Just a comment. I just want to appreciate you guys' hard work through this journey. I know it's been a long time, and I appreciate you guys taking our questions and concerns and kind of adjusting the map and be able to kind of give us multiple views for that. That 3B was is great as well. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys' hard work and kind of giving us all these options. And I think it's a well-rounded options. Like, you gave us a lot of available options, a lot to think about, and I think the interactive maps and everything that was well constructed and gave our community an opportunity to be able to view all those options. So I just appreciate you guys' hard work through this journey and thank you.
Trustee Bradford? I'd like to make a comment on 3 and 3B, seen as those affect my trustee area. I want to give consideration to the comments that we received from the public on those and regarding their preference for 3 rather than 3B. While I appreciate 3B, including Mission Bell, which is a school that I love very much, and I would like to have it included in my district. I realize that our job ultimately is, even though we're representing a particular trustee area, our job is to advocate for all students in our district. So I can be fond of any school I please, even though I am elected by a particular constituency. So it doesn't make a difference to me whether or not Mission Bell is included in my district or the trustee area number 1. But I think in deference to the persons who wrote preferring scenario 3 to 3B, I would prefer 3.
Thank you. Trustee Garcia.
Thank you, President Riggle. I remembered. So Jonathan, Christopher, first of all, thank you for all your hard work. I know it was a big task to get 3B also included. But the question I had was, so these are all compliant. So once we approve one, send it to the county, is there like another verification? I mean, is it gonna come back, or is this, do you think this is solid as far as compliant?
So what happens next is the board later this evening will adopt the resolution with one of the options. So someone will make a motion, I move that we approve resolution XYZ with map, X, and the rest follows. If you get 3 votes, that's your map. We'll then file a petition with the county. Really, it's just a letter that explains everything the district has done to meet all the required timelines, deadlines, all the public hearings, how you've done outreach, how you've tried to solicit information, all the things you've done on the website to show people that you can, look at the maps interactively, et cetera. And then we'll have to present to the county. So kind of as the district to the county about all of that, about the entire process, about how and why whatever map is picked is the best map for the district. And then the county can approve or not approve. There's also some thought that the county in theory could pick a different map option. Some counties have done that, but that's only happened when there's been a major outcry or some major problem with the map that the entire community really wanted one map. And the board said, you know what, we don't care about you community. We're going to pick something else. That hasn't happened here. So what I would expect to happen is the map that the board picks is legally compliant and the county would approve of it in theory in January or February.
Thank you. And the reason I asked that question too, I don't know, in the papers recently, there's the county board of supervisors is coming under some attack there because they redrew their own lines and probably didn't go through the same process we've gone through here. And so that's why I asked that question. So thank you.
Trustee Bradford.
I also wanted to add that I like scenario 3 because it seems to be the most equitable distribution of population without too much weirdness in drawing lines through the district. So thank you, gentlemen.
Trustee Ditweiler. Can you talk into the microphone, please? Thanks for the visual. Any other comments or questions?
I guess we're all giving an opinion. Yeah, I mean, I like 3. I think it has the least variance. Number 2 is great as well because I think it does balance the schools, but just like Trustee Bradford said, we represent the whole district in whole. So I'm leaning toward either 2 or 3. I think the variance is the lowest of those ones, and I think any one of those would be a good choice for our district.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for your time of putting this together. And as Robert mentioned, I did worry about some ramifications because you are starting to see this, that there's articles and news coverage of, the boundaries were not selected correct. So we are within compliance with all of these maps, correct?
all of the options meet the criteria. They're all within 10% of the equal population requirement. They all, in different pockets, increase the ability of protected classes to influence the outcome of an election. They aren't super crazy odd shapes, besides the fact that the census blocks can't be split. So some of the shapes just have to be a little bit weird. And especially with a transition that requires all these public hearings, it's different than the redistricting that occurs every decade. I don't foresee any issues, knock on wood.
Okay, thank you. And as far as the maps, I mean, I'm okay with any of the scenarios. Map 2 and 3B, probably I'm a little more partial, but it seems that we're getting a lot of feedback even from the public that 3 or 3B is more ideal. I was really hoping that one of the schools would be in my zone, where we reside. So but it's going to happen no matter what. I know that we've even had public feedback of like, well, my kids live in this area and it would be great for this map, but generally it's not based on the area. So, either way, any map is going to work. It's more about serving our people is the priority, and just make sure that we're in compliance with the regulations. Any other questions? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, item F, approve, adopt routine action item by consent regarding agenda item F 1 through 28.
Move for approval.
So, Trustee Garcia?
President Regal,
Yes.
we have one correction on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
So on item 7, the board agreement page, under the description of services for the Crown Castle Fiber contract, there is a typographic error. The district's match should read $47,160. However, the contract amount is listed correctly there at $47,160.
And so we can continue to move forward with
that correction.
With the correction.
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, so Trustee Garcia and second by
Me, Bradford.
Okay, any questions? Okay, let's call for the vote. There it is. Has everyone voted?
Mrs. Worley, I'm just, I lost connection, but connected. I'm just trying to reconnect here.
Trustee Garcia, would you state your verbal vote for me?
Yes.
5-0 vote. Move on to regular action items. Certified 2021-2022 first interim financial report. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. The presentation should be coming up here. There we go. So in December of each year, we bring our first interim financial report to the board for certification. This report provides an update of our current financial condition related to our 2021-22 budget adopted by the board in June. The detailed first interim report is included in your backup materials. In late November, the Legislative Analyst Office releases their state financial outlook. And I'd like to share just a few areas that were highlighted in the fiscal outlook for schools and community colleges. So the state revenues have exceeded what was enacted in the 2021-22 state budget by an estimated $31 billion. What this means for K-14 funding is an estimated increase of $11.6 billion to the Prop 98 guarantee, and that's that K-14 funding. And that would be for the 2022-23 school year. After accounting for one-time expenditures, funding an estimated 5.35% COLA, and making required reserve payments, the LAO, the Legislative Analyst Office, estimates there will be $9.5 billion for new commitments and an additional $10.2 billion in one-time settle-up funds. And that's basically because this year, because the revenues are coming in higher, they will owe some additional funding to Prop 98. So as typical, the LAO report provides options for the legislature and governor to consider for allocating the additional one-time funding as well as the ongoing funding. So if we turn to our first interim budget, looking at this year, since adopting the 2021-22 district budget in June and passage of the state budget in July, the district has received an increase in local control funding formula, LCFF revenue. And most of that increase is attributed to the newly enacted increase in the concentration funding from 50% of the base funding to 65% of the base funding. The difference is also in one-time for the federal revenues. In one-time federal revenues is due to the CDE change that we had in the accounting method that we had to put into place, which is recognizing federal funding in the same year that you book those expenditures for those funds. So that's the difference you see there in the federal revenue, which if you look at our overall difference, it's a $27.8 million increase, but 21.5 of that is just that booking change, because we originally booked the revenues in 2021, but they told us to move those and book them into 21-22. So, but again, we did receive additional revenue for LCFF funding. When we turn to our expenditures, due to the labor shortage and delays in the supply chain, the district's expenditures are tracking lower than we anticipated. Most of that decrease in expenditures is on the restricted side of the general fund side of the budget, which is those federal revenues, and where we have some of the temporary assignments, some of those things, some unfilled positions that we were hoping to have in place and have just not been able to fill those as of yet. So, but overall, we're looking at about a $10.3 million savings or decrease in what we had planned for expenditures. And that's what we estimate at this time how we'll end the year. Again, we have one more budget. We'll be bringing a second interim budget in March to the board, which actually takes us through our expenditures and our revenue through January 31st. So that gives us a better idea where we are about halfway through the year. But right now, the first interim provides information up to October 31st. So if looking at this a little bit different in a chart format, looking at the revenue and expenditures as a percentage of our overall budget, for the current year, the district's expected to receive 76% of its revenue from LCFF. And the greatest area, of course, of expenditures is, as it typically is in a school district, which is in people. Our salaries and employee benefits make up approximately 80% of the district's overall expenditures. Of course, we get our funding from enrollment and actually from average daily attendance. So based on census data, the district's enrollment has declined by 170 students. We have budgeted for an additional decline of 90 students for the 2022-23 school year. And we're budgeting flat enrollment in the 2023-24 year. Our current year ADA, you can see that little dip in the current year. Our current year ADA is trending at 91.8%. The district is projecting its 2022-23 ADA will return back to more of a normal ADA, which is 95, closer to 95.7%. And that was basically our pre-pandemic average. The full impact of declining enrollment will be seen in the 2022-23 year, which is when the ADA hold harmless provision will sunset. And we, of course, continue to closely monitor our average daily attendance, and identify if it's, less kindergartners coming in, less, transitional kindergarten, that type of thing. So we are, continually to monitor that. The district builds its multi-year projection based on several assumptions. So I'll just go through a few of those. COLA assumptions, average daily attendance are unduplicated pupils, which is the percent of students who are low-income English learners or foster youth, and they only count in one category. The first interim budget report uses the current Department of Finance COLA numbers. But as I mentioned, the LAO's recent report is indicating that the COLA will be higher. And so we anticipate an upward change to the COLA when the governor releases his January proposal. The district will incorporate that COLA, whatever the governor releases, will incorporate that COLA into its second interim budget report. We've also built in current and projected employer pension costs, and you see that those do go up quite a bit from 16.92 for our STRS rate to 19.10, and then PERS rate from 22.91 to 26.1. So we have, again, budgeted those in, as well as the district's negotiated health and welfare contribution of $11,700. And then in the current and the 2 out years, we include budgeted funds for our required routine restricted maintenance. We're required to budget 3% of our expenditures, $2 million for deferred maintenance on our facilities, and the district's required 3% reserve for economic uncertainties. So that's the assumptions that we built our first interim budget on. So when we look at the multi-year revenues and expenditures, the district is projecting that our revenues will exceed our expenditures in all 3 years. This would result in an increase to our ending fund balances. Increasing the ending fund balance are basically due to the amount of one-time revenues that the district has been receiving. But you'll see that our beginning balance carries, our ending balance for this year will carry over to our beginning balance as our beginning balance in 2022-23. Our ending balance in 2022-23 will carry into our beginning balance in 2023-24. And again, these are projected at this time. We also have 11 other funds that the district manages and operates. All funds are projected to end the year with either a balanced budget or a positive ending fund balance. So we have a healthy budget. We have a positive certification that we'll be submitting to the County Office of Education. They will review our budget, and then they will notify the board with and the superintendent with a letter, stating whether they agree with our assessment of a positive certification, which I'm sure that they will. So at this time, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford. We're going to go ahead and start with Trustee Bradford.
Mrs. Ford.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in the deferred maintenance $2 million cost. In a district our size with so many facilities, how do we come up with $2 million as being enough?
We actually take that from long ago when there was a required deferred maintenance amount. And at that time, it was between 1.5 and 2 million. And so we've kind of kept that going all along. But that funding we typically use for small projects that we wouldn't necessarily contract out for. We're able to do those in-house, and we're able to use that deferred maintenance for those type of projects.
So it sounds like that's proven to be an adequate number over the past experience.
It has, but we have been able to adjust it at times. Sometimes we'll have a little bit less because it might be a project that's going to span between 2 years. And so we're able to make some adjustments with it, and a little bit less 1 year and be able to give a little bit more the following year.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Navarro.
On the deferred maintenance, then that will adjust and count for like the rising costs and the supply chain issues and all that. Is it kind of accounting for that? What we're going to probably see in this next year with some of those concerns and issues that we're having getting materials and wood and whatnot.
The deferred maintenance, we also have supplies, and in our supplies, some of that comes out of that area as opposed to the deferred maintenance.
Okay.
So it's kind of a combination of both. And because we are receiving one-time funds that we'll be able to use on those types of supplies, we can, some of those expenditures can be using that funding as opposed to the deferred maintenance.
Okay. And then for the, on that same page, the STRS, how come the STRS, I don't know if you explained it or maybe I missed it, the STRS rate and the PERS rate jumping up so high? Is that because of the retirement?
So 2 years ago, the governor actually bought down 2 years worth of the rate.
Okay.
So the rate was supposed to be in the 18%, but the governor bought that down. So basically they prepaid the unfunded liability.
Okay.
Now that's going away. So in 22-23, it goes back up under statute.
Okay. And then my last question with the kind of guesstimating and averaging the ADA, maybe I've asked this question before, are we taking into account the housing projects and all that? Is that built into your scenarios and projections when it comes to the, averaging, students leaving to with, our current projection for the ADA?
Yes, we do. So we have a demographer that we work with, and they provide us with the census information and kind of live births and that type of thing. So we have that information coming in. But then on top of it, they look at all of our developments, and they identify the student generation rates on those developments, and then those are included into whichever boundary areas that they're a part of.
Okay. And 66 pages was okay this time, so it wasn't a long weekend. So thank you.
That was so true.
You can thank the state of California for that, because they make us do all of those SACS forms. So we're required by law to make sure that we complete those forms. So Mrs. Benson and her team make sure they're completed.
Trustee Garcia.
Thank you, President Regal. I don't have a question. I just want to thank you, Mrs. Ford and Ms. Benson and the whole team for a great presentation, and I appreciate all the effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Detweiler.
Yeah, I just had a question about the unduplicated percentage. It's going down like 3.5%. Is it artificially up because of COVID, or to what do we owe this?
So the last 2 years, we've had the ability to do what's called a proxy survey for to be able to survey our parents for their income levels, to be able to get that information. We anticipate that will go away next year, and so it will be that the parent has to complete the form and submit the form to us. So we just anticipate we might go back down to our typical levels, which have an average, which have been around the 78%. So we always budget conservatively. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to do that. But we're hopeful that parents will report, give us the information so we can make sure that we provide those services to them.
Okay, I just have a couple questions. Have we built in contingencies into our 3-year budget to address unforeseen pandemic-related or economic uncertainties?
Yes, so we have contingencies. Because we are seeing with the supply chain issues and with the labor shortage, and we're not being to fill positions, we're seeing some savings in our unrestricted general side. So we have some funding that we've committed, and the board committed those funds for any kind of like COVID related contingencies or something unforeseen happens in the economy, that we can make sure that we can weather anything like that would happen.
Okay. And then with the one-time federal stimulus funds that have been extended to 23-24, are we planning for this reduction in federal funding?
Yes. So as we're adding any, first of all, one-time money, we make every attempt to purchase something that's one time, not having to continue to purchase it. However, with the amount of one-time funding that we have been receiving and the needs that our students have, we have actually put some positions into those funds, and we're carefully identifying how we can slowly pull those positions back, once potentially they're not needed, as much for our students, but pull those positions back as the funding runs out. So that's, our planning. We work with, of course, Dr. Hansen and the cabinet, and the entire management team to identify, where those needs are, but also where we can start basically slowly pulling back, so we make sure that when those funds when we have exhausted those funds, we're not going to be in a position of not having enough to fund positions.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anybody comments or questions? Okay, we can go ahead and call for the vote. Vote. Okay. Let's go to adopt expenditure plan for the educator effectiveness block grant. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. We spoke about this proposed expenditure plan at our last meeting. The educator effectiveness block grant consists of $4,285,675 to be spent between now and the end of the 25-26 school year. It contains 10 possible areas in which funds can be expended, and we propose expenditures in areas 1, 2, 3, 8, and 10, essentially for administrator induction, professional learnings and activities to support student literacy, attendance for both secondary and elementary teachers at the Avid Summer Institute, personalized professional development through Aludo, which has proven to be a very popular system, as well as early childhood education professional development, i.e. preschool and Head Start. So administration recommends the board adopt the expenditure plan for the educator effectiveness block grant.
Can I get a motion?
I move to approve.
Any questions? Comments? Are we going to, with this type of grant that you'll be applying for, you're going to be required to to measure the results and things like that so we can see how effective these applications that you're going to be applying to the training?
Absolutely.
And you'll provide those updates to the board when those start to take place?
We will, and these are all items that are contained within our LCAP. So we monitor and bring back information as part of our LCAP, both at the end of the year and as the mid-year update.
Okay.
So I wouldn't anticipate that we would come back with strictly an educator effectiveness block grant update, but it would be contained within those updates.
Okay, great. Thank you. Vote. Okay, subject 3, adoption resolution 2022/28, resolution approving and adopting a final trustee area plan for the district's transition to a by trustee area election system. Mrs. Ford.
So we're finally here. In April, the board voted to approve the proposal to initiate the process for the district to transition from an at-large election system to a by trustee area election system, beginning with the 2022 board elections. In approving the proposal, the board considered its exposure under the California Voter Rights Act, as we heard earlier this evening. The process included the development of districting options and presentations of the options to the governing board and the public. So now we are at the point where the board will need to select from the map options, and then we will forward that information on to the selection, to the submission for the county to the county committee. And then at this time, we recommend the board make their selection and then adopt resolution number 2022/28.
Who would like to motion or suggest a map?
I motion to approve scenario 2.
Do I get a second? Okay, then I'm going to need another motion.
I move we adopt map 3B.
3B. Do I get a second? Okay, next one. The motion dies. Okay. Motion died. Do I get another motion for
I move we adopt map 3.
map 3? Do I have a second?
I will second map 3.
Who is it? Trustee Navarro?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And any questions or discussion? No. Let's go ahead and call for the vote. There it is. Did everybody vote? Five-0 vote. Looks like map 3 is our new area for the trustees. Nice job. I mean, that was a lot of work, a lot of reading and analyzing. So good job, all of you. And then we will move on to board member committee reports. Trustee Ditweiler.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay, Trustee Navarro.
No board member committee reports. I just want to say that we had my first CSBA conference was a great time. Learned a lot. I got to talk to other board members and superintendents from around the state and kind of see how they handle certain situations and kind of learning about how other districts handle different operations, whether it's special ed, CTE, and whatnot. So it was just a great opportunity to kind of pick the minds of other board members and superintendents and kind of just really see the difference that a lot of school districts do across the state. So it was just a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bradford?
I will add to Trustee Navarro's comment of attending the California School Board Association's meeting last week in San Diego with the addition of, I spent an additional day in a legal symposium because I thought it was important for us to know what we're doing and to do it correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Garcia.
Thank you, President Regal. Don't have any committee reports. I did attend the California School Board Association conference also the day before the delegate assembly. And so we did talk a little bit, mostly delegate assembly, and at the end of the year is about policy platform and all the basic things, fair funding, safe schools, those types of things. But we did focus on some bills, AB 101, which is the ethnic studies bill that was signed in October. That was Assembly Member Medina's bill, and that goes into effect 2024-2025 school year. SB 4, which continues to expand broadband grants for broadband access, which is still important for a lot of school districts. SB 22, which is a state school bond for facilities that should be placed on the ballot in 2022. And I know my colleagues here know that we severely need funds for facilities, and we need a lot of money for facilities. So hopefully that we can follow that bond. Also recruited some members from LA and San Diego County for our Saturday morning meetings that we have. So that was pretty nice. We get to expand the program a little bit. And I'm really happy we were unanimous on our map vote. I know we probably all wanted something different, but I know we serve with, this is a great board. We serve with the unity of purpose, and we know what we're here for, and that's our students and obviously our teachers as well, because without them, our students wouldn't get anywhere. So I want to thank all the folks that came out tonight. I appreciate all your comments, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thank you all.
Thank you. I look forward to rejoining District Advisory Committee for another year. Really enjoy spending time with the group and receiving all the updates through the district. And it was a great experience. I mean, that was my third in-person California School Board, the conference. And it was nice to meet our network face-to-face. First time, or over the past couple of years already had known them, but also how we can relate to the challenges with our state. There just seemed to be a little bit more bonding on this round because I think we're all having the same concerns or the same conversations. And I agree. I thank you for coming out and expressing, your concerns, and we want to hear them. And it's not an issue. I mean, we just want these. We need to know like what our staff and our families are, because this is why we sit up here. So thank you for taking coming out and taking the time to share that. It's a Monday. It's December. So I know all you parents, have a million holiday loose ends to handle right now. Plus it's football season. So you're coming down here. It means a lot to be part of our district. But I also want to wish everyone a happy holiday to the Christmas, and hopefully you get to enjoy that break and spend time with family. But I do have one wish: is if you don't do it already, is volunteer in your community. We need it. A lot of organizations need it, especially this time of year, trying to get resources or holiday gifts and donations to families within our community. any type of volunteer is always appreciated. And then Superintendent Hanson, any final comments?
Yes, just a couple. First of all, I'd like to thank Trustee Bradford for her service over this last year as president. She led during very difficult times, and personally was there during my transition, and was a great support during that transition. So personally, want to thank Trustee Bradford for her leadership. Also, I'd like to congratulate you, President Regal, for your appointment this evening to serve as president of the board, and I look forward to working side by side with you, and also Mr. Garcia for your appointment to clerk. I'd just like to congratulate the board on the hard work that they do, and it's very clear in our board meetings how engaged you are in whether it's the community speaking about their stance on the various issues. It's looking deeply at trustee area maps. It's evaluating our district budget and ensuring that we remain fiscally solvent. Your questions and your engagement are very clear, and I think that's really important for the community to see how engaged you are in this process. And I just want to congratulate you on the work that you put in behind the scenes to make sure that you're informed. Also like to thank our staff. These are very difficult times, as we all know. And there are a lot of variables that have to be considered. There are a lot of variables that are outside of our control. Nevertheless, we have employees who are very committed to the education of our students. And we're just so thankful for their commitment, their hard work, and their perseverance during these very difficult times. And we commend them for that. And lastly, just wanted to maybe if you guys need someone to walk you out to your vehicles, I'd request that our deputies that are here tonight be made available for that. So don't hesitate to ask. They're more than willing to do that. So again, thank you for a wonderful evening, and look forward to the new year. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. Now, we appreciate your interest and involvement in our students and well-being. Continue to be safe, and this meeting's adjourned. I do ask the board to stick around as Mrs. Worley has some documents for us to sign.